Right, I think it's all working. So, hello everyone. I am Kieran James. Today, I'm bringing an interview with one of my athletes, Rob Harris, who is a bodybuilder, and he's still competing to this day, and maybe a little longer yet. We don't know. So that is what we're going to bring to you. Hopefully, this is one of many sort of episodes I can bring. And I can't. So with that being said, guys, here we go. So I'm about to introduce Rob Harris. So Rob, if you'd like to come on through, how's it going?
Oh, mate.
There we go. So please take a seat. So Rob is going to be talking to us today about his career within bodybuilding and what he has found within the industry.
Okay.
Is there anything you'd like to say to start off?
No, mate, far away, mate.
So, like I said, you're a bodybuilder. You're one of my sponsored athletes, so I take a huge amount of pride in you. One thing I would like to cover is, how have you found your journey in bodybuilding?
Well, it's been weird. Like, I started back in, say, 2005. I did my first show. Obviously, the industry was completely different back then. There wasn't a lot of federations. I think then we only had UK BFF and NABA. So it was like literally those two. So obviously, UK BFF was more sort of tailored towards. It was like our American version of like the English version of the NPC, whereas NABA was like the grassroots where Arnold started, like Sergio, all those lots came from that. So that was like the beginning grassroots of bodybuilding, and that was all we had. Like my first show was the Mr. Boston, like a little local show, and I placed third in the first timers. So that was like, to me, I absolutely hated it. I did my first show. I couldn't wait for it to be done, and I said I'm never doing it again. I hated every minute of it. Just the thing of being on stage in a pair of little thong pants in front of everybody. That's not for me.
Yeah.
So I then took 2 years off, and I got approached by former Mr. Britain, Mr. Universe, saying like, you should give it one more go. Just do one more show. Like, just see how you go on. He offered to coach me for free. Didn't charge me. Train me. Said I'll prep you for it. See what happens. If you don't like it, I don't like it.
One thing I'd like to say, you brought up about the tiny whiteys, should we call them? Yeah. A lot of people go, how do people do it? It's quite an intimate question. How did you get over that fear factor of it?
To be fair, like when I started doing it properly, like my first show was in 2005, like I said, and that was Mr. Boston. Then when I was getting ready to do the NABA Northeast Britain, the trainer I had at the time, and I'll say his name was Laurie Carr, massive guy. He would literally get me in the middle of his gym, 6 o'clock on a Monday night, the busiest night of the week, be like, strip off 2 boxes and pose. If I can do that in front of a bunch of people in the gym training and working out, I can damn sure get on stage and just do it in front of a bunch of people I don't know.
Now, just saying, for any first-time beginners, that does not mean you're going to the middle and town of do that.
No. And you don't come to our gym and do that.
Yeah, just a disclaimer. Yeah, none of that in here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not open the floodgates on that.
Yeah. So you've got a new show coming up. Would you like to explain a little more to us about that and what you're doing to prepare for it?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like when I've been doing this for 18 years, my last show, I believe, was 2019. It was the PCA British Finals. Unfortunately, I didn't place where I wanted to. I had a lot of stuff going on in my life at that time, and I couldn't really give everything that I wanted to. So I kind of called it quits then to start with, but then decided I'll give it another go. Yeah. And then COVID hit, unfortunately. So obviously the gym shut, the federation shut down, so lost my job. Ended up going to work for Holland and Barrett to get my management qualifications, work through that. Like we all did, we found a way to survive. And then I kind of just thought, you know what, I'm done. That's it. COVID's come. It's given me an excuse now to step away, because I was into that routine where, like most people do, like we, especially blokes, and I'll admit it, when a lot of stuff happens in our lives, we don't tend to deal with it. We put it to the side. And I liken it to, there's like a storage box that you have in your head.
Yeah.
So if something happens in your life, to me, it was like, oh, I'll do a show. So I'll just put that in the box and I'll deal with it when the show's over.
Yeah.
But the show's never over, because I always did another show. And eventually that box then gets so full, you can no longer put that lid on and it starts spilling out.
it becomes like the Pandora's box,
Yes.
essentially. You put so much in there before so much longer, the things in it's manifested and it secretes.
And it bleeds into your day-to-day life. And when COVID hit and all that, it took all my coping mechanisms away from me. So everything that I used to deal with everything that happened in my life, I couldn't do anymore. So I then had to find ways of dealing with it. And as odd as it sounds, like, I was always known as Rob the personal trainer or Rob the bodybuilder. I didn't know who Rob was without that.
Yeah.
So I kind of lost my identity. So for those 3 years, I was just trying to find myself.
Do you think in that time that a lot of bodybuilders struggled during, I mean, you brought up the COVID situation. Do you think they struggled heavily because then coping mechanisms, like, don't get me wrong, could do home workouts, but me, myself, them home workouts won't suffice.
Yeah, it's not the same.
You know, the environment for me determines a lot of what I do in the gym and how I perform. So did you find that as a big issue when you tried to do workouts at home? You weren't getting the same as you were before.
Yeah. And I think, like, it's not just the bodybuilders as well. It's like everybody, anyone who comes to the gym, and that was took away from us. It took everything that we use to feel good about ourselves. So when they closed that, I think that was the worst thing they could have done, because it took that hour of the day that people have where they come here and make sense of things. And those that don't come to the gym, they'll never understand it, but they leave everything at the door when they come here. So they leave it, they have their hour to just themselves, headphones on, world off, and that's their hour where they make sense of everything that's going on. So then when they leave the gym, they can then attack that day. When that's took away from you, again, your coping mechanisms are gone. Where do you go? How do you funnel all this that's inside you? How do you make sense of what's going on? You can't. So I think a lot of people struggled.
Yes.
And not just those that come to the gym. In day-to-day life, when you're told you can't work or you've got to work from home, the routine goes.
Yes.
And then you think you go 3 years without having a routine, and then all of a sudden you've got to find that routine again.
And that's been the hardest part. I mean, to this day, a lot of people are kind of paying the consequences still of the COVID situation. You know, whether that's been built up through personal, work life, etc. It's been a real shame. It has took a real toll.
I mean, I know this is sliding off the bodybuilding side, but
it's all interwoven.
It's all interwoven, and it transitions to why I'm here now. So obviously that happened.
Well, if we transition that, how has COVID, I mean, you competed before COVID and now you're competing after COVID. Has the game changed?
Massively. There's more federations, there's more pro cards out there, there's more classes, there's more people doing it. Like, when I first started, there was only a select people that did shows. Now, as horrible as it sounds, every Tom, Dick and Harry's going to do a show.
Yes.
You know, and they go, oh, I'll be ready for a show in like 5 weeks. I'm going to do a show. And, you know, bless it, awesome, that's good for you. But it kind of makes a mockery of what we do. Like, we die our asses off for 20 weeks to get ready for one day. Where you've got some guy who said, yeah, I'm going to do a show in 4 weeks. Never done it. It's like, it's kind of a bit of a...
It's an insulting,
Because everything that goes into those, like, 16, 20 weeks where you sacrifice time with your family, time with your friends, money, financially, recreational life, your work life, everything changes. It takes a big toll. So for someone to say, yeah, I'm going to do a show in 6 weeks, yeah, I could be ready in 6 weeks. You know, I know me, I got ready for 4 weeks for the last show, but understand that I've been doing this for a long time and I knew what I could do in a 4-week window. But that's after 18 years of competing, 28 years of being in the gyms training. So it's opened the door to a lot of things, but it's also now opened the door to a lot of negativity, the social media side that comes from it. So again, all these are interwoven sort of things. So trying to decide, like, coming back into it, it was more of can I actually still do it? I'm 41, 42 this year. I had 3 years out, and could I be anywhere near what I was? Could I be better, or could I just even get my body in shape? That was my main thing, and it was only 4 weeks before the show I decided to do it, because I thought I'd rather say, right, 4 weeks, let's give it all, and then call it a day. Unfortunately, I gave it my all. I did really well, and I didn't call it a day.
No. I mean, that's why you're going on to do your next. You know, with that being said, What is your prep currently looking like? And this can be in regards to your training, your nutrition. How is it looking? Obviously, you want to keep some cards held, don't we all? Because if any of his competitors are on here, tell you what, this man, he's going to win. So be warned. But I do want to hear his prep, and so do other people. So don't spoil it.
I guess this is where we say disclaimer. This is what I do. I don't advise anybody to do this. I do it because it works for me and I know what works. So current training at the moment is I train legs once a week, which I'll be completely honest, I don't train legs. I literally, for the last show, I don't. You wouldn't think that, but for the last show, I trained them 2 weeks before the show. So, and that was the first time in 3 years I trained my legs. So I am guilty of not doing them, although I've done them every week for this prep, and I will continue after this prep. I tend to train chest by itself, back. I will then do shoulders, arms, legs, and then I try and take Sunday off as a rest day. The main reason I take Sunday off as a rest day is because that's the day of the shows. So I feel I'm getting my body primed to be in a relaxed state. So I'll only come in, I might do cardio that day, or I'll just not do anything. So that's kind of my training plan. Now, as we're coming into the last week of the show, my last leg session was Saturday. I did chest on Sunday, back back yesterday, and then arms yesterday, back on Monday, and then today was my last shoulder workout. So now what happens is Thursday and Friday. Get my days mixed up. Where am I?
Today is Wednesday.
Yeah, today is Wednesday. So tomorrow and Friday, they're my last 2 weights workouts. So they're basically a pump workout. So nothing strenuous, just an exercise or two per upper body part. So we don't train our legs that close to the show. And that's just to keep volume to the muscle. Saturday morning, I'll come in, I'll just do my last bit of cardio, which will be 30 minutes in the morning, take my progress pictures, and then I'll just go home, lay my feet up. But all through this prep, I've been doing anything from an hour to 2 hours cardio every morning. And I walk through that door at 4 a.m., do my cardio, do my training, do my shift. And some days I don't get out of it till 8 o'clock at night. So I'm here all day.
Yeah. So it is quite long days, and you said you've sacrificed the time to get all this done. But how far are you willing to go to get to the goal you've always dreamed of?
It's one of them, like I was speaking to my partner Heather about it, and like I said to her, if this encroaches on our day-to-day life or causes any issues, then it's not worth it for me. I'd rather step back, because if it upsets my family, then what's the point? Because they should be part of this. Like, if they're not part of it and they end up resenting me because of it, then I'm doing something wrong, because it should be inclusive. I said to her, I'm going to come back, I'm just going to do this show and then I'll be done with it. Because I did so well and I was so close to getting my pro card for that federation. We sat down, we had the conversation, like, I don't want to be doing this for years. I've done that already. My goal is to, one, become a British champion, because I never did that, and that's one goal. After being a British champion, I would like to push for my pro card. So they're my 2 goals. But I said to Heather, after these next 2 shows, the next plan would be to focus on that pro card.
Okay.
Bring up all the areas I need to, and then just do the shows that will bring out a pro card.
Yeah. So that would be a big milestone to have that next to your name. You know, obviously I got to witness your
the return
show. Yes, back in June. No, July.
June,
July. It's one or the other. You know, they're all blended in one nowadays.
It had a J at the beginning.
Yeah, something like that. You know, we got to witness that great return. You know, we were all there cheering you on. It's a very momentous moment to witness. For yourself, it was an emotional moment as well, wasn't it?
It was validation, like, that I could still do this, and it's just one of them, like, when you've done something for so long and you were really good at it, the last thing I ever wanted to do is take a step back or fail at something. Though it didn't matter where I placed, because I wasn't going for that. I just wanted to get back on stage just to see if I could do it. But it showed me that I could still do this at this age, with a torn pec, with being older, my body being different, responding differently. So it was that validation that there's still left. There's still more on this old dog yet.
So you've said it's brilliant, because my next question was going to come on to this. You brought up the pec tear. What is some of your biggest setbacks when it's come to competing?
This time around, it is the pec tear. In the past, it was my conditioning, and being full on stage. That stuff now, I'm lucky now that I'm older. My body responds differently.
Yeah.
The muscle tissue's different. The skin's different. You have a more mature look to your physique. So the conditioning comes through that. This time round, the biggest issue with me getting on stage for the last show was the pec tear, because it is noticeable, especially for me. And it's been a year now since I tore it, and especially when you're hitting the side shots, it's more obvious because it literally looks like I've got a pacemaker fitted, but it's not a pacemaker. Yeah. It literally looks like, it's literally like that on my chest. So you can see it when I pose. And that was the hardest part for me, especially after I tore it and coming into the gym. I wouldn't train in a vest, kept a t-shirt and a hoodie on for months and months and months. I didn't want anyone to see it. Like, I saw it and it made me, I was so disgusted with my body, because I thought after all these years of training, I've ruined my physique. You spend 18 years creating and modeling like a bit of clay your physique to be what you think is the perfect physique for you.
Yeah.
And then you, with one stupid movement, ruin it.
Can I ask though? I mean, I already know this. I'm kind of asking for you. What caused the pec tear? Now, this is interesting because a lot of people think they know what the answer is, but it's not necessarily played out the same way. Like, a lot of people probably think, oh, it's because you're absolutely destroying your body all day. Yeah. What was the one movement you made that caused it?
It was just the flat bench press, which is the worst thing you can do. I avoided it for years, and then I crept into the mindset, oh, let's see what I can lift. And then each week I pushed it up, pushed it up, pushed it up. So I got into the mindset of ego lifting, which isn't me, but I thought, I'm not bodybuilding anymore, maybe go to some powerlifting, some strongman.
Leave that ego lifting at the door. We don't want it here. There's your proof.
Yeah, don't tear a pec. So yeah, but I mean, I was progressing. I got 100 on the bench, then it went 120, 130, 140, 150, 155. We went for 160, and then 160 it tore.
The moment is on record somewhere, isn't it?
I think I've got it on film somewhere, but I can't ever watch it.
Okay, maybe I won't show you guys.
No. So now when people ask me to spot them on a bench press, I'm like, please don't, because it's just there in my head, the vision of it.
It's horrible. I mean, we've all seen the videos on TikTok of them
lucky.
Sort of thing.
I was lucky, and that's a big shout out to Greg at State 11. He helped me out.
Yes. State 11, Greg.
Yeah.
You've done work on me before. You've done work on Rob. We appreciate you. Yeah. Spalding.
Yeah. Massive help.
So my next question, probably a good one to really round off this little segment, is what advice would you give to a beginner? So someone who's not in terms of the gym, but in terms of bodybuilding, because there are loads of topics I want us to talk on at a later date. But what is a great piece of advice you would give a beginner into the industry of bodybuilding?
Don't rush it. Just take your time. Like, this should be an enjoyable journey that you go on. Don't put so much pressure on yourself that it takes the enjoyment and the fun out of it. Because at the end of the day, trust me, it ain't worth it. Like, don't get me wrong, I've got a room full of trophies, but they're all in the garage. Like, they're a chapter of my life that was done. I'm proud of it, but there's more to me than that. And it's the same with you guys. Like, be sensible. Don't crawl before you walk. Get your training down, get your nutrition, because that's the biggest thing. So what gets me is, like, people focus on other things. It's your nutrition. That's the most crucial thing that's going to make your body grow. If you're young, man, eat. Fuel those workouts.
Yeah.
Eat as clean as possible. Have your refeeds. Don't sit and say, oh, I'm going to have a McDonald's because I'm bulking. That's bullshit. That's just you being lazy, and it's an excuse to say, I want to eat cereals after training because I see the pros do it. It's all right doing that, man, but them pros have been training 20-odd years. They've got God-given genetics. Yeah. They can eat Krispy Kremes. They can eat their fucking Cocoa Pops with almond milk and love it. We can't. I can't. So be sensible. Yeah. Know the nutrition. Know what you need to do, and don't rush it. Have a plan set. Say, right, there's a show coming up. I'm looking at doing it. If you get to it, awesome. If you're not ready, don't beat yourself up. Yeah. There's always another show. There's always another show, and you learn the most dieting into a show, and then you learn the most out of the rebound. The only thing I would say is after a show, when you hit that rebound phase, don't eat shit. You spend 20 weeks building an awesome looking physique that you can show off on stage. Don't undo that in the 24 hours after the show.
No dominoes.
Yes, no dominoes.
No dominoes.
Just be sensible, especially with the rebound. Look at your body's a sponge after the show because you've been depleting for so long. Whatever you eat, it's going to use and utilize. Eat the right things, you could then end up coming on stage the next time round 4 or 5 pounds heavier.
Yeah.
The next show, another 4 or 5 pounds. You do that over a certain period of time. Before you know it, you've gained an extra stone of good quality tissue that's going to make you stand out.
Perfect. Well, thank you for your time, Rob.
No,
I do appreciate it. Now, if you guys would like in the future, we are potentially going to look at doing more segments like this. You know, not just talking about the sponsoring side. I thought it'd be a good one to open with because Rob's got a show coming up. It's a good way to bring publicity. But talking about generic topics within the fitness industry, and maybe some little tips and tricks for you all as well. You know, it might not just be in this. We might take you in the gym one day, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. So this is like part 1. We want part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So any questions, go for it. Anything you want us to cover. But like Kieran said, we'll cover training. We'll cover anything for like personal training, the social media side of it, influencers. All that, like we'll cover everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, just let us know and we'll go from there.
You never know. We might have a big star one day. Eddie Hall.
Yeah, not me because I'm only 5'3". I'm a dwarf. I can't
Thank
say
you
that.
for your time, Rob. I
No worries,
appreciate
man.
that.